Penn.
Maurice LaRosa.
Here.
Mary Ann Turner, here. Charles Masterbirdy.
Here.
Andrew Abanowitz.
Here.
Lynn Skull.
Here.
Rob Kwasnicki.
Here.
Kathy Plopper.
Fire evacuation, two means of egress out of the council chambers. First one is to our left, your right, down the stairs, out the first door, down the stairs, out into the parking lot. Second means is behind you, right in front of us. Go out the double doors, take a right, down into the parking lot. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry about that, that opened up on you. Procedure as to how things are going to work this evening. I go in.
The secretary will read the legal notice. The applicant will be asked to come forward before the board. The applicant shall state his or her name for the record, present their application. Questions may be asked of the board, from the board. Audience will be given an opportunity to speak in favor or against the application. If anybody from the audience speaks in favor or against the application, the applicant will have final ability to speak to us. Comments made by the public are not relevant to the exercise of the commission's statutory or regulatory authority will not be considered by the commission in reaching its decision. Once the application has been presented, the public hearing will be closed. The applicant may or may not have a seat back in the audience if they choose. Most likely, the board will vote tonight and reach a decision, in which case written confirmation of the board's decision will be received from the town. Madam Chairman, legal notice, please.
Thank you
Madam
for the
Secretary.
upgrade and the job title. Notice of the public hearing, Enfield Zoning Board of Appeals. Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, July 31st, 2017 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers, Town Hall, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following. ZBA number 2017-05-33, Palumba Drive, Building Number 1, AKA 5 Palumba Drive, location approval application for transfer of ownership, and a K7 form for the existing Midas shop. Owner, Belize Automotive Realty LTD, applicant James K. Riley, map 057 lot 0320, BR Zone, Business Regional. Information on file in the planning office dated this 14th day of July, 2017. Mary Ann Turner, Secretary. Journal Inquirer, July 19th and July 28th, 2017.
Will the applicant come forward?
Hello.
Good evening.
My name is James Riley. I'm going to be purchasing the Midas of Enfield location, and I'm requesting approval through the board. I'm hoping to get approved. This is a business that's existing. It's, in my knowledge, has existed since 1980. The current owner his name was Jack Morandi, and he had passed away. I think it was Super Bowl Sunday, so February 6th of this past year. And his ex-wife is now managing the business until the sale.
Can you state your full name and your address for the record, please?
Sure. It's James K. Riley, 120 Highland View Drive, Somers, Connecticut.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the, excuse me. This is the office manager that's currently there. He's been employed for 5 years under the current ownership. He's just with me in case there's a couple answers that I don't have an answer for to help me out. My wife is also with me. Her name is Taya Riley. We've been married for 17 years. We live in nearby community, and we live in Summers. We found out about this opportunity, and we want to proceed. We want to be part of the community here in Enfield, and we have high hopes to be here for quite a while, 10 plus years. Roger and his staff in the zoning department have been a big help for us. He pointed out a few things that needed to be addressed, recommendations that he made for the site. Couple of which, hello? He said there was an A-frame sign that needed to be taken down. I've been in compliance with that. There was a handicap vertical sign that needed to be put up. There was nothing there. There was just a painted parking lot, but no vertical sign on a post. That's been corrected. There was some landscape issues. The right side of the building was like a landscaping bed, needed to be remulched, spruced up. Some shrubbery needed to be cleaned up. That's been addressed. The parking lot needed to be restriped, repainted. That's been taken care of. And then there was also some debris in the back. I don't know if anybody in the board has viewed the site at all. There was some tires that were stored back there. There was some wooden pallets. There was some debris of that nature that's been cleaned up since I was aware of that. Since I was made aware of that, that was been taken care of. And I have pictures here I'd like to present, hand off. Just basically showing what's been done, the improvements. I don't know if, just give them to Roger. Anything that I could have done, basically, to improve the site. And this is just the beginning. I haven't taken ownership yet, but I don't have a problem with taking money out of my own pocket to make sure that things are corrected. Again, this is something that we want to do. My wife and I, we want to be part of the community, and we want to take advantage of the opportunity that it's presented itself. So we have 3 daughters. We don't have any plans on moving out of the area anytime soon. And again, if there's anything that is required, I am more than happy to do whatever's necessary to be in compliance.
Are there any questions of the board?
To Roger, where's the K7 form?
K7 form would be presented subsequent. However, there is one in the file if you'd like to look at it.
No, I just want to I don't believe it was stuff that was given to us.
Just as you remember, Madam Secretary, in addition to the K7 form, the Secretary signs the map, and so one of the proposed conditions that we gave to the board for your consideration is that they would clean up that map and present the map, a clean map that would be signed by you and attached to the K7. So until they submit that revised map, then...
Okay, it's this one. I just couldn't find the number. I probably stapled through it. Okay. And I was questioning if it had been notarized, and it is. Can you just tell me about the landscaping you're planning on doing? Because I did go out there, and every single thing as possibly could do, you did, and it looked great.
Well, I have plan on getting a professional landscaper to fertilize and possibly put in irrigation. If you notice across the street, we have the major dealerships. There's Honda, there's Nissan, there's Toyota, so on and so forth. So, in my opinion, it's pretty high profile real estate there, and I want to look like I belong there. And currently, it doesn't. So I want the landscaping pretty much impeccable. That's the way I want it, at least to match what's existing there with the neighbors.
So where the berm is between the building next to yours, there's the Midas building, there's there's a berm that comes down. Is that you or them?
That's a good question. As far as I'm concerned, well, as far as what I've been told, from my understanding, that is the next lot, Town Fair Tire. That's their property, according to what I've done in my due diligence. When I get in there, I'm going to address that because it's more visible from my side of the property, the lot, than theirs, and I'm going to want it done a certain way. So that will be addressed as well.
I fertilize my neighbor's lawn because he makes mine look bad.
Yeah.
I know all about it.
Exactly.
Roger, could you make a note that if the landscaping needs to be corrected on the left side of his property and on the right side, because they too have landscape issues, could we go out there and look at that and have them get in compliance so that he doesn't have to put it all on his nickel?
I'll say that when I was there, the folks from Midas were mowing that embankment. So you're shaking your head, yes. So you maintain that embankment because the day that I was there and it was mowed, then when it got mowed, then you saw stuff that was there that needed to be taken away, which you've since tended to. And I just want to say for the record, the applicant has been very cooperative and we're very appreciative of the fact that he not only accepted the recommendations, but he went and did them before the meeting.
Any other questions?
No questions. That's what
I have a few, but I'm not sure if they should be directed towards the applicant or staff. So, first of all, could you read those into the record, please?
I have 8 photos, 4x6s, showing the landscaping and the striping at the Midas building over on Palumba Drive.
So you're purchasing a repair facility, which currently that's all they do. Somebody brings a car, they repair it. Are you looking to expand that? Are you looking to have a tow truck? Is that part of what they can do? Is it something we have to look at for limitations? How many vehicles are you looking to have on your property at one time for repair? Things of that nature. That's where I'm going with questions. And again,
Yeah, I don't have any plans to expand at all. It's got 7 bays currently, and I think that's adequate for the amount of business that the business is doing. The building was built in 79, 80. It opened up in 1980, and I think at that time, they probably were expecting more. At that, they were doing more mufflers. It was more of a muffler shop. In fact, it was Midas Muffler.
right, and that's kind of where I'm going.
Today, now mufflers is less than 10% of the business, so it's very adequate the way it currently exists right now. I don't have plans. And as far as the tow truck is concerned, that's not anywhere on the horizon at all at this point.
Okay. Go ahead.
You're going to open on Sunday?
No, the hours will remain the same. It's I think it's 8 to 6 Monday through Friday and 8 to 4 on Saturday. And I don't have any plans currently to change any of the hours.
Are you looking to have, right now, I know as long as I've been in the area, I believe they've taken in vehicles that are serviced that day. Are you looking to store vehicles on the property that are in need of repair like a normal garage?
No.
Or is it still a same-day service type of facility?
Correct. It's a same-day service, meaning that somebody drops off their car for brakes, or they either wait for it in our waiting room, or it's dropped off and they pick it up same-day service. In a situation where, a local parts vendor wouldn't have the parts on hand and needed an extra day for them to come in, then the car would be inside the building for the night. Nothing typically gets stored outside the building, and we pretty much service the cars that day, and they get picked up the same day. So it's not really something that we'd have any type of vehicles parked outside for an extended time.
Okay. Any other questions? None? Okay.
If I could just add a couple things, I would like to, we hope to have it approved. The sale of the franchise actually is hindering upon approval to get the license through the DMV. So we hope to get it approved tonight if possible.
Probably not. Probably not. We only need
No.
5.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Does your wife want to testify in favor?
I was just going to ask that. I know she's the only one, but I got to ask.
I can tell you she's long-winded, so I don't know how long you want to be here.
You're buying dinner.
But we haven't. All right. Would you like to speak or no? Okay.
Do your thing.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Discussion.
Did you approve the
Not yet.
drafted one, or?
Huh?
Hang on.
Okay.
Not there yet.
Right now, we have a motion to close the hearing, and now we'll discuss.
I have a question before I read the draft resolution. It says a public hearing was held on July 18th. You mean today, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Just thought maybe
I actually fixed that somewhere, but I got.
That's okay. That's okay. You're just checking on me.
I appreciate you catching.
Any discussion?
I believe they're following all the rules we requested. They did everything, and I was great that you had everything ready, set, go. There's nothing holding them up as best I can see. There's the same existing business to do the same existing thing under a new name. Do you want me to read the dress?
I agree with you.
But
See, you're catching on. We've been caught in the past, so I would like to add some conditions.
shoot,
Condition 1, no vehicles in need of repair shall be stored outside the building.
okay. Are we gonna go with any changes like hours or different? They'd have to come back in for a,
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I would word that. Hours of operation shall be as existing. Any changes, applicant will have to come in front of the board.
Mr. Chairman, could you just repeat that? No vehicles for repairs shall be stored outside the building?
Outside the building,
Do you mean overnight?
overnight, yes. As the applicant stated, that it should be a same-day service, and that if, on a rare occasion, they needed to store something because a parts store didn't have the parts, they would store it in the building.
well, why don't I read the resolution and see if we've caught everything? And
Okay.
if not, then you can.
Go ahead.
Okay. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals has received an application for automotive location approval for the existing Midas Muffler business located at 3 Palumba Drive, AKA 5 Palumba Drive, map 057, lot 0320, Business Regional BR Zone. And whereas a public hearing was held on July 31st, 2017, whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals has received the application materials provided by the automotive location approval of the Midas Muffler location at 3 Palumba Drive. Now therefore it be resolved, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves ZBA number 2017-05-30 for the automotive location approval for Midas Muffler located at 3 Palumba Drive, AKA 5 Palumba Drive, map 057, lot 0320, Business Regional BR Zone, according to the below referenced plans with the following conditions. The reference plan, site plan proposed transfer of business ownership. 5 Palumba Drive, Enfield, Connecticut, May 2017, prepared for James Riley, Riley Transport, Inc., applicant, owner, Belize Automotive Realty, 122 Doughty Circle, West Springfield, Mass. 01089, cover sheet with legend, zoning data, notes, and vicinity map, sheet 1 of 1, scale 1 inch to 30 feet, prepared by Meehan and Godin, dated October 25th, 2013. And I believe that's this map that I have in my hand. And as we mentioned, there's a didacted line in here that needs to be cleared up. And tell us what it says. What else was there that we saw in here that we wanted to know?
Yeah, they also just have the area as outlined as the area of the building rather than the area of their site. And so there are just some miscellaneous items that
Right.
need to get
So you're-
clarified, because you're approving their
This.
site, not just the building.
This. We're
Right.
doing, so we're approving the site?
Right.
Or just this
Nope,
piece
the
of the
full
site?
site.
Right.
Right.
So we need that plan to, and that's what this says, Roger? That we're going to have a brand-new site plan?
If I could, Madam Secretary, there are 20 conditions, but there are only like 5 or 6 that are site-specific. So if you want to read them all, you can read them all, but the ones that are really specific to the site are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I was going to suggest that if the chairman or the other commissioners want to add more, we make them 9A, B, C, or whatever.
Well, I'd like to make sure that the general conditions are in the,
Oh, yeah, everything is there, but
Does he have a
if
copy?
you just wanted to, the applicant gets the entire list.
so does the applicant have a copy of this right now? Did he see it in advance?
Good point.
The reason is if he has questions and we're agreeing, do we go?
Normally he gets one. I'm going to give him,
You should have been given that.
I don't want him. We have a copy we can let you have. Give me one of yours. Do you have the draft, do you have a copy of the draft resolution?
he and I discussed them in my
No.
office today, but.
There's no copy of that in mine.
Am I the only one who has them? So we're going to keep going while you read and I read, okay? So general conditions, this approval is for specific use, site, structure identified in the application. Any change in the nature of use, site, or structure will require new approvals from the Enfield Planning and Zoning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. This approval does not include signage permit. This project shall be constructed and maintained in accordance with the reference plans. By acceptance with this permit and conditions, the applicant and owner acknowledge the right of town staff to periodically enter upon the subject property for the purpose of determining compliance with the terms of this approval. The site conditions you've complied with already. The restriping the parking lot, the handicap space, the proper handicap signage, the landscape in the island has been cleaned up. And no litter or garbage, you've cleaned that up around the exterior of the building, and all non-conforming signs have been removed. Conditions to be met prior to signing of plans. All plans submitted for signature shall bear the seal and live signature of the appropriate professionals responsible for the preparation of the plans. That include whatever that line is on here that's out will be put in. The application number shall be displayed on the plans in or near the title block. A copy of the approval letter and conditions shall be incorporated into the final plan submitted for signature, preferably located on the cover sheet or first sheet of the plan set. A list outlining how the conditions of approval have been met shall be submitted along with the final plans for signature. A list outlining all changes to the plan shall be submitted along with the final plans submitted for signature. The list should cite the sheet number and where each change has been made. Question to you, Roger, when is that done? Before,
He's already done it, so I think we could waive that list. I would waive the list, or he could just give me a letter that says I did it, and there's the pictures.
oh, those are on the specific site conditions. Yes, he's done those. I'm talking about the things we're talking about, the signing of the plans.
Oh, the signing of the plan takes place as soon as, he gets us the revised, first we give him the approval letter, he gets which we will do as soon as we possibly can, because he's been very patient. He gives us the letter, it's incorporated on the map, he makes the changes to the map. As soon as we reviewed it and says, yes, everything is fine, we call the secretary comes in generally the same day, and signs the plans, and then he's free to go to motor vehicles.
The condition of this approval shall be binding on the applicant, landowners, and their successors and assessors, and the conditions to be met prior to the issuance of permits or 4 sets of plans. I'm not going to go into the details. You can read them too. You're going to submit the final plans to the commission, and any certificates of approval by federal, state, or federal agencies you'll take care of. Conditions which must be met prior to the issuance of the certificate of compliance. And we're pretty big sticklers about those. No certificate of compliance or other final approval may be issued until the zoning enforcement officer has signed off on the final work. When minor site work cannot be completed because of weather or pertinent reason, or condition approval may be issued not to exceed 180 days. Providing satisfactory security shall be posted with the town of Enfield in the amount sufficient, and a request for final project review and certificate of zoning compliance must be made to the planning office not less than 10 days before a certificate of occupancy or other final approval is requested from the building office. So then adding in Mo's condition number 5A, no vehicles in need of repair will be stored outside the building overnight. Hours of operation will be consistent with the existing use. Are there anything else?
On the hours of operation, can there be some language added to offer a little bit of flexibility in case, say, a customer wants to do a drop-off, if they close at 5 o'clock and they can't get there in the morning to drop off a vehicle at 6 or 7? I mean, that would violate that.
That's not being stored outside. That's being dropped off that day and picked up that day.
All right.
That's not
All right, so
storage.
that won't, all right. And then the other one on the hours of operation consistent with the business, does that mean if they have a busy time that they would be allowed to open earlier an hour or two or stay late for an hour or two? Is there an objection to add some flexibility in that regard?
You already said he didn't need it.
Okay, but if
He wants to, he has to come back in front of them.
All
It
right.
might go under administrative review, but it would have to be minor.
could we allow an extra hour here? I mean, a business, I hope you get busy, he gets busy and you might need an extra hour to get some jobs done.
He's got a point. I mean, they're right in the middle of something big. You can't stop. An extra hour wouldn't hurt.
I would hate to see him be put in a position of, violate in good faith or
Well,
take care
you're
of
always
customer.
going to run into that, unfortunately. We can give him an extra 2 hours, and he may have a job that runs 3 hours late.
It would minimize
you
the.
just you have to go. What was that?
I don't know if you wanted me to comment or not. I could
Go
comment.
ahead.
I think you got the rule of reason there. I mean, if it said, for example, if it says 9 to 5, and on an occasion, because of the demands of the workforce, if it goes to 6, I mean, The question is he open at 6, 7, and 8 on a regular basis?
Right.
So, I mean, you got the rule of reason, you got the zoning enforcement officer's discretion as to whether this is an occasional, inadvertent, or necessary thing, or whether it happens all the time.
But isn't
If
the
it
other-
happens all the time, then what we would say to the person is, apply for different hours. But you make a good point, Commissioner. Anytime you put hours of operations on it, it's intended to say this is when we expect you to be open on a regular basis. It's very, very tough to enforce. Everybody all the time, particularly when commissions put things on that say sun up to sundown. And I get some of those, and then we get into debates as to the sun wasn't really all the way down. So I guess what I'm going back to is, as the secretary said, it's a rule of reason, and it's if you. I'm not saying everybody should stay open all the time, but I mean, it's you got to be aware that it's continual, habitual, and you got to go out and pay a visit
Roger?
and say whatever.
The thing is, he can close his shop at 5 o'clock, but if his staff needs to stay and finish a job, they're allowed to work in his
Right.
building.
Right.
So
Good
we don't need to we don't need to curtail his open and closing. They could work till midnight if they want to.
Right.
Well, the other part of that too is that the applicant has put forward the hours existing because, or at least I'm assuming, because there's experience there and they know how to schedule.
Right.
So this is an existing business. This isn't a brand new business. Nobody knows what's going on. So my feeling is if they had asked for hours other than what they did, then we could have this discussion. They've already said this is an existing business. The applicant brought his manager. To me, that says we don't need to fool with what's already working.
So I've read the resolution. I guess we turn to you if there's going to be. I've made a motion.
Is there a motion to
Accept the
accept the resolution as read?
I make a motion, accept.
Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes. You've been approved.
Roger, please have his letter ready for me by Friday.
Okay. Good luck with the business. Thanks. 21 conditions.
Sure.
Just move those down there.
Okay, you will find on the table minutes for May 22nd, 2017 meeting. Do we all have them? Have you all had a moment to read them over?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion?
I just don't know if this is the place, but when you get to item number 10, Jen or Roger, we're talking about the approval for the lower part of a building. However, they're still waiting for a text amendment. This is for the package store. So when we get to, do we have their comments on our agenda?
Staff reports is coming up next.
Could
Yeah,
you-
you're all set, you can leave.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye.
So under staff of comments. It's the Italian Fest time. Could you answer that question, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed? Abstentions? One abstention.
Jen,
Correspondence
file.
staff reports.
This was your motion. You guys like to sign it all.
21, see attached. 21's with the two we added?
Right. And then I'll attach them, I'll type that one in and attach it to it.
Okay. I guess this is what he's trying to get me to do. Oh,
Yeah, what are you doing?
you're gonna have to write over the check mark. And Rob, you're not voting, so ignore that one.
So the question on the liquor store, I don't recall the minutes as what it said, but I get the gist of it, which was the package store is in the process of reworking the downstairs. We've recently, subsequent to those minutes, informed them that they need to go back to planning and zoning for what they want to do on the site in general. The comment with respect to the upstairs, they have now said that rather than having offices on the second floor, they would like to have one residential apartment. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered the question of whether or not we would like to allow residential over commercial along our commercial corridors in Enfield, and authorize staff to draft a zoning text amendment, which has been sent out to the CROG and will be heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 24th. And it would allow the commission to consider by special permit residential over commercial in all of our commercial zones. This would also open up the possibility that you could add second, third, fourth, fifth floors to the mall and have residential over the mall, which is in the Plan of Conservation and Development. But it would be by special permit, so the commission would have to consider whether it was appropriate given the neighborhood and the conditions and what was the first floor use and the amount of traffic of the first floor use, whether there would be sufficient outdoor space for if there were children living in the residential apartments and so forth. So that's where it is. I think from a staff point, one residential unit up on top of that liquor store seemed like it might be something that would be desirable depending on how it's designed and what the final design would be. But there was no mechanism to allow that. The only place that Enfield currently allows residential over commercial is in Thompsonville.
Okay, so it'll be in front of the P and Z on August 20th.
August 24th, I believe, or whatever that, it's a Thursday night. I think it's the 24th, right, Jen?
It's at their next meeting, which is August 24th.
That's their only August meeting, and mainly it will be a series of different text changes that folks have asked for. One deals with the unique conditions around Shaker Pines Lake and Crescent Lake, and another deals with the Skidco area. Right now, the design district on Hazard Avenue ends before it gets to Skidco, and you recall about a little more than a year and a half ago, there was a proposal on the corner of Hazard and Broadbrook for CVS, and that was the famous case where they came to this board and asked for 5 variances, and then you turned them all down, and then they went to ZBA, to P&Z, and said, well, after ZBA turned them down, we decided we didn't need them. So, but we said, no, it doesn't work that way. But the Skidco Neighborhood Association has been very active in that they would like to create a village character there. And in order to do that, we would have to allow buildings closer to the street, and and have a design standard for them. So
Okay, so this is all the stuff that's on P and Z's
yeah,
agenda
there's
to
a whole
do?
bunch of stuff. I'll send it all to you within the next week or so. The various
But none of it is ZBA required. It's just information only.
right. I'm just providing information to you because you guys get to. Well, you hear location approvals, but in addition, you hear, you have appeals from people who don't or are having issues with the regulations. So,
Mr. Chairman, can we talk, we got a document in our files, our paperwork, site plan checklist.
Yep.
Did everybody get a chance to look it over? I thought it was very useful, Roger. Is this what you use now? Or was this written because we asked for it?
it was written because you guys asked for it, but it was tremendously helpful in working with the two assistant planners. We all worked on it. We all critiqued it other. We have a second draft that is, or I think I sent you the second draft. I think that's the first draft that was in your packet. I sent you the second draft by email, and there's a third draft coming, because what we started with was what are all the requirements of what people have to submit, but then we started from the standpoint of a board and commission. Well, okay, so I got this map and it's in front of me. Well, like, what should I really be looking at? What are the kinds of questions I should be asking? And so we're open to your suggestions and your feedback. I thought it was a very interesting exercise, and that's why every one of them says work in progress, because certainly it's going to be helpful for planning and zoning. It's going to be helpful for wetlands as we move forward.
So is this document for us with this new automotive task that we have, this is site plan is directed to that? Or in general, it's site plan?
You can take credit for asking for it, and we had a bunch of site plan review checklists in the planning office hadn't been updated for a while. And so this is not the one staff uses where, we get involved in counting the number of parking spaces and handicap things and everything else. But what this is like, okay, this is what the applicant is required to submit unless waived. And then, okay, so once I got all of that, well, what are the kinds of things?
Hold on.
So learning.
Hold on, Roger.
Yeah.
Who's us? Us or your office?
Yeah, no, we're trying to make this a commission-friendly document that guides the commission as well as the staff. I mean, we have to dig into a site plan deeper than the commission would have to, although you're free to dig into it as deep as you want. But in general, like if we're saying, tell us the driveways, so it's kind of like, well, okay, they show us the driveway. Well, why are we looking at the driveway? Okay, we're looking at the driveway to see, is there another driveway right nearby? Is there a traffic light? Is there a hazard? We're trying to anticipate. We have a lot more work to do on that. We've done some of it. But, Madam Secretary,
hang on.
it really came out of like that whole workshop that you guys called one night, and we sat here and went through all your forms. And then the second part was, okay, now we've got a little different task, which is this location approval. And, what I heard from the commission was you're pretty comfortable with variances, and, you know a variance when you see it, and when it isn't, But site plans, okay, well, what do you have? And like tonight was an interesting one because you had one that was approved in 1978. And so like, well, where do you start on something like that? Whereas, next month you may have one where somebody's taken a vacant lot and wants to build something there, and that's a whole new ball
Okay.
game. But so
I just want to make sure, this site plan checklist that you've given us this evening should be the guide we put in our book until further notice. I
Right.
would also suggest, if it's a draft, that you actually write draft across each page.
Right.
And that you revision these things every single time with a date, so that when it's superseded by, it's going to say that it's superseded by XYZ, because then we have consistency as we move forward and we modify it.
right, I think
Okay.
the very last page says work in progress
Right,
with
but
the
once
date.
these documents separate,
Yeah.
which they easily
No,
can do.
I'm with you. I'm
so
with you.
let's-
Excellent points. But we did include sitting here and listening to some of the questions, which I think were excellent questions, which the commission had with respect to earlier versions. So we did have one little blurb on there about location approvals and paint booths and spray booths and fire suppression systems and things of that kind. And those were things that, quite frankly, we learned from you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm clear. This site plan checklist through the chairman is our guide, so when someone comes in front of us, we pull it out and we literally can ask these
Right.
questions.
What I'm looking to do, and that's where I was going before you started this.
Sorry.
And I'd like the board's opinion on whether or not they feel they need it. I feel we do. I would like at our next meeting, August 28th, that we have another workshop. I've gotten calls from commissioners that, hey, what is it exactly we're looking for site plan review? So now that we have a document that they've started, that staff has started, let's sit down at our next meeting, go through it, and we'll all be able to have a better understanding as to what exactly we're looking at for site plan review.
Mr. Chairman, do we think we're going to have a meeting next month?
Whether we do or not, this would,
But I would
if we
rather
don't, it
make
would
it
be
a
a great.
workshop.
If we don't, it would be a great opportunity to go into this without it having something. We never know if we're going to have an actual application come forward. So that's why I'm saying right now, we don't know, but we can guarantee a meeting if we put this through as a workshop for next meeting.
Jen is checking your official calendar as to whether you had an August meeting.
We don't have an
You
August
didn't,
meeting.
when you put it, I mean, we can create a workshop rather than a meeting and post a workshop if that's what you want.
Well, then let's make it a workshop for the 28th. We know we don't have an application coming forward. We don't have to be in here. We can sit down in the Enfield room, have tables to spread paperwork out, and we can actually have a class to learn something. Not that I don't believe we did wrong tonight. I don't believe we did wrong the last time we did site plan review, but this is a learning process for us. So I'd like to be able to have something like that next month.
We're fine with it. I think you got to
Any
find out whether you've
suggestions
got
from the
the
commission?
rest of your board is interested.
Well, I found the document extremely helpful doing this with this automotive review. So I think if we want to tear it apart and put it together for all different types of site reviews, if we're going to be doing them, I think it's a good idea to do a workshop. And this way it gives staff almost a full month to pull together every reiteration that they have.
Right.
So if you want to do it, I'll put it on my calendar.
Is this just a draft copy, though?
Right now, that's just a draft. That's
So
something that
what
they
will we
came up
have for
with.
the workshop?
Well, they'll work, he's already said that they've already got a third draft that we've not gotten.
So
So he
let me
can bring
explain.
that forward.
Want to explain why it's a draft. It started out as a document that simply said everything an applicant has to submit. And what we're adding to it as we go along is we're trying to add, if they submitted X piece of information, what questions might you have? What would you do with that information? Why is that something you should care about? Type of thing. That's our focus of trying to do that. Obviously, at a workshop, it would be helpful because we can discuss it a little more in depth and
Okay.
and so forth.
Let's,
So
let's just table this to the workshop, and you
Right.
and you and he can.
We'll get
pull
together,
your
we'll put something
agenda
together for the,
So would the commission object if we opened it up to
Nope.
any new members of planning and zoning as
more
well?
the merrier.
Okay,
It's a learning thing. Every one of us can learn.
okay.
Anything else for staff?
Other business.
I've got one more thing for you. The packet that was sent out last month that was used for tonight. Unacceptable. I know
Well,
that we had a lot of
had this
people out-
conversation, Mr. Chairman, which is why you get a different packet tonight.
Well, I didn't get a different packet. I got an email saying that if you've got a packet from last month, please hold on to it for next month. So I did
And
not
it-
receive a packet.
Yeah, we sent it out, and I called everybody also to make sure that they received both packets.
Oh. I never got another packet.
Yeah.
I got stuff in
never got-
email.
Yeah.
Right, the email, the one that was attached in the email.
Oh, right. You sent
Right,
it to
yeah.
us
Yep.
electronically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
Did you receive it, Maurice?
I did not.
Okay.
So
So then we should
all,
just.
all I want to
verify
make
your email.
sure, and again, I don't care if it's mailed to us.
Yeah.
If we
Do you have a new email? Or?
do not, I do not.
All right, I'll just take down your email just to make sure so that
Okay.
this doesn't.
It's Maurice LaRosa at yahoo.com.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
All right.
Yeah, actually, when I walked in tonight, two members of the board said, thank you for that second packet. It was just what we wanted. So,
Yeah, I did not receive it, and that's why I'm mentioning it. But all I'm saying is, if you could, from now on, if we get our, when the packets are put together, just please make sure we have everything we need. Because last month I got phone calls from a couple commissioners, hey, we didn't get our packet.
well,
And-
as you know, just what happened last month was that the packets went to the mailroom for the courier to pick up to deliver to your house. Unfortunately, the mailroom put them into U.S. postage. So that's why on the time, as far as were the materials that you received sufficient for you to adequately review an application, they were not, and so that's why we addressed that situation.
So I just wanted to mention it. I just wanted to, we haven't had an issue with the packet, so I want to make sure that moving forward, we continue not to have an issue with it.
I'm glad that you, and the other thing that we have done in response to the commission's request is I think looking up the historical approvals is very helpful.
Yes.
That is something that the commission has asked for. Jen, if you want to applaud, you can. You want to hold your applaud till afterwards. She's now survived this place 1 year. This is this month, this is the 20th of this month, is 1 year.
5, we're a lot of fun. What's the complaint? Jeez.
Raquel is now here 6 months, and so as they continue to grow and learn, they're tremendous helps, and so we're able to now get to some of the issues that you folks have rightly said. Hey, it would be great if we had this, that, or the other thing, and we're looking forward to continuing to do that and work with you, and we thank you for the opportunity to work with you.
And one more thing that I'd like to start getting again, it's been a while since we've mentioned it, is a list of actions. We used to get a monthly list of our approvals or denials and the actions that were being taken to, what's the phrase I'm looking
Right.
for? To get us there.
And did their certificate
right.
of compliance get filed?
So if somebody came in that had already done something and they were denied, are they now in compliance? What is going on with that application. We used to get a running log of all of our stuff, and we haven't seen that in quite some time. And I know you guys are busy, but it is something that I
No,
want to stay
you know,
on top of.
what our goal was to have one list printed out as part of our view permitting process. We're still working on that. In the meantime, we can go back and as an interim step until we get that one report that, because what happens is you have an application and it goes here and it goes to P&Z and it goes to wetlands, and we were reporting it 3 different ways. We'll work that out. We gave wetlands a review earlier this month. We gave them a status report. I know we last gave you one maybe 2-3 months ago. You got one about 2-3 months ago. There hasn't been much changed on that, but I hear you, and if you want that as part of your report, we'll certainly do everything we can to get it to you.
Thank you. Any other business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.